Welcome to the Mom Founders Table. Pull up a chair and join me every week as I become your thought partner and help you lead to create change. I'm your host, Kelsey Kenry, entrepreneur, millionaire mom of three, and strategic business coach for established mom entrepreneurs. Every week, you will get tactical guidance to apply to your business, leadership, and life that will help you further your true success while also being invited into a new way of thinking and being that creates true freedom. I'm here to call you out and call you up, so take a seat and let's begin. Welcome back to another episode of the Mom Founders Table, and today we have one of the coolest people who also will be my neighbor, hopefully. Yay! If my damn house will ever fucking sell. So I want to welcome Becky to the podcast today. Becky, God, we're going to get into so much good stuff today. I hope you guys are not driving when you're listening to this, because there's definitely going to be some noteworthy moments in here. But if you are, just re-listen. Becky, tell us who you are, what you do, all the good stuff for our people.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, get your butt down here, or over here, I should say, to Texas so we can be neighbors and hang out and get our families together and all the things that we've talked about. But I am so excited to talk about this. I am a pelvic floor physical therapist and also the founder of my clinic, Genesis PT and Wellness. We are in DFW, Texas. We also see people virtually all over the world, which is so cool. But we truly are setting a whole new standard of pelvic health care. And that's my passion. Is yes, it's helping women and people, but really it's elevating our field and changing the game of what is commonly known as pelvic floor therapy, which is things like Kegel exercises or have a glass of wine and relax. And, we're just obliterating all of that and changing the game.
Yeah. And I think this is why, you and I connected so well, is you are such a disruptor of your industry, because I think for most people listening, they would think pelvic floor, Kegels, these two things go together. So can you just give us a little bit of information on how are you disrupting? What are the things that you guys actually know to be true about pelvic health?
Yeah. So in general, the pelvic floor, people think Kegels because we're told that pelvic floor dysfunction is because your muscles are weak, right? You had a baby, your pelvic floor is weak. You're a mom, your pelvic floor is weak. You're in menopause, your pelvic floor is weak. Whatever the thing is, the statement that we are told is that, oh yeah, you just have a weak pelvic floor, so just strengthen it and do Kegel exercises. And what we have come to prove in all of our work and our own research and just how we are going about our own treatment style is the pelvic floor is simply the victim of something else. And so it might be weak or it might be tight and tense. That's actually a lot more common anyways than weakness. But that either of those things is kind of dumbing it down. We have to figure out why is it presenting with weakness and why is it presenting with tension in the first place, and fix that. So we're really about getting to the root cause of the weakness or the tension, not just treating the weakness or the tension, because then you're just giving Band-Aid solutions and management tools rather than actually fixing the problem in the first place.
Yeah, I think that the fact that you care enough to figure out the root cause, especially in healthcare, but across the board, right? Because it's like that's how I am. So I'm like, why is this happening in your business though?
Right.
Why does it look like that? And why does this keep showing up? And it's like asking those questions and inquiring and doing the digging. It requires extra effort that not a lot of people are willing to give. And so I think that in itself sets you guys apart. And when I'm thinking about, you guys doing this research and kind of going against the grain and all of the marketing against Kegels are not it, man. Tell me about you're starting in this field and when you realized you had to disrupt, and how did you work through the fear around that? Because I think there's a lot of women who are running businesses who have a voice, who recognize that they're blocking themselves, they're shrinking themselves, they know something's not right in their industry, but they're afraid to stand up for it.
Yeah. I remember it vividly. I remember the moment I was like, I've got to do something about this shit, and it was, I remember the patient, and really what had led up to it was whenever I founded Genesis, it was just me, myself, and I. Fall of 2019, I was renting, one room from a midwife who was actually my midwife. She caught my second baby, which is really fun. But that's what it was. I was there 3 days a week. It was kind of supposed to be my part-time mom job, which is, a funny joke looking back because now I have 5 clinics and all these team members and everything. But what really had happened was as I had begun kind of taking on pelvic floor clients at the start of Genesis, I was doing what I'd been taught to do, right? I was assessing kind of the assessments I was taught to do. And I was then going off of those answers and giving Kegels or relaxation techniques, depending on what we found. And what I was noticing with my patients was they were maybe getting a little better. And they were kind of like, yeah, I've been doing my things, like I'm still having some symptoms, or, maybe it's a little better, or sometimes symptoms weren't budging. Those were kind of the two things. No one was really getting all the way better. And that pissed me off, frankly, because before pelvic health, I was what I call like your normal PT. I was outpatient orthopedic. I, treated post-surgery. I treated injuries, athletes, weekend warriors, all those people. And they had transformation stories. Like they were getting better. They were getting back to the marathons and all these things. Now I'm in pelvic health, and these sweet mamas who I would desperately want to help are kind of like losing hope or just settling for, getting partially better. And like, well, maybe that's just how it is. And I just was like, I am missing something. Like I am missing something. I'm doing everything that I've been told to do, but I'm missing something. And so it wasn't until I sat in a lecture, it was a 2-hour lecture on the foot and its connection with the pelvic floor. And I was like, I don't know what this means. I'm going to go to it because what do I have to lose? And she explained in this 2-hour lecture how our feet actually change the way our hips and pelvis and pelvic floor muscles can function or can't function. And so that little 2-hour block, I went back the next day to my patient. I know who she is. Like I can picture her in my head. And I'm like, can I try something? And she's like, yeah, I'm game. I'm like, take off your shoes, And so literally, I'm like, she was the perfect person for me to just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to try this. And so I did. I looked at her foot. I found things. I was like, oh my gosh, your right foot and your ankle. And, and she was like, well, yeah, I was a soccer player. I rolled it 500 times. And so I kind of went down that rabbit trail. I gave her some foot and ankle exercises that day. She came back a week later, I kid you not. And she was like, my leaking is almost gone. Like up until now, I had probably seen her 3 or 4 months up until now. It had barely budged. She had prolapse leaking. She was a runner. She leaked when she would like read stories to her kids and like, do the voices and raise her voice a little bit in the stories. She came back a week later and she was like, it's barely happened since I've done these foot things you told me to do. And I just was like, holy shit balls. Like, what is this? And so that moment is what like did a 180. I was like, I'm not looking back at all that crap. I'm going to look outside the pelvis. I'm going to figure out why her pelvic floor is not doing its job. In her case, it was her foot injuries and ankle injuries in the past and had never been addressed. And so that was kind of the moment everything shifted to where I decided that I was going to figure out why my patients' pelvic floors were not doing their job and fix that rather than just give Kegels or relaxation for weakness or tension. And then marketing that, I am someone who I like to have a strong opinion, honestly, which is funny if you like know me, because I'm also like an Enneagram 9 and I don't like conflict. But there's something about having a platform, and I had already started my social media for Genesis, and I just remember starting to talk about it, and it just flowed out of me on social media. And I started to tell my referring providers, like, listen, this is what I've been doing and seeing in my patients, and it's working, and get them excited.
And the human design projector was like, let's go.
Yes. And you're the one who turned me on to the human design. And like, ever since then, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so true. But it just flowed out of me. I wanted to tell everyone. And the people who were like, who I'm disrupting, I mean, I still have these naysayers, right? They're still like,
sure,
but the research shows. And I'm like, that's from 1940, first of all. Second of all, who cares? Like, I show, like, my patients show their research too,
Yeah.
and so it's like, I think the fuel was the results for my patients and how much better they were getting. I was like, I'm not stopping. And then as I was talking about it, that's when like people were like, would you hire? And like people wanted to join us and all that stuff. So it's been a snowball.
Wow. But it's interesting because what I'm hearing from that is that when you utilize your voice for the things and you really stand firmly in what you believe,
Mhm.
that yes, there will be people that will say whatever they're going to say,
Mhm.
but then also like that's the way that people join you and you create
Mhm.
bigger impact. Because that's what I always tell people. I'm like, sure, you may be afraid to be visible or to really say the thing that you want to say, but like, what about all the people that you're not helping? And
Mhm.
so, like, with you making this bold move of like, we're going to go against what the majority of people are saying, that has
Mhm.
opened up like so much change and transformation. I love that you just held that standard for yourself of like, why aren't these people getting these results
Yeah.
that I want them to get? Like that really says a lot about, your character and how much you care. So how do you, now that you've grown this to where it is and you have these team members, how do you get them bought into that vision and the importance of this impact?
Yeah. I mean, it is integrated into our hiring process from day one. Like when we write a job description, it is, and we make a post about it that we're hiring, we are targeting the PT or the OT that is like, I want to do things differently and do things better. I want to be a part of this movement because it really has
Mhm.
become a movement in our field of like, are you getting in or being left behind? And so we're talking to that person first of all before we even meet them or they meet us or anything. And that kind of helps as they enter into the interview process, even that initial like screening meeting. It's like it just kind of helps us know, okay, this person at least like wants to do something bigger than just provide pelvic health care. Like that's a great thing. And
Yeah.
they want to provide it so excellently in a way that like changes patients' lives and brings our field forward. And so it's like we're screening for that from day one. And then my job at Genesis is I am the visionary. And so my job is literally to hold the vision and make sure I don't shut up about it, make sure I talk about it to my team every single meeting, every single email I send out, and help them, see where we're going. And I have to bring what's in my head, what I see for us in the future. It's literally my job to bring it out of my head and present it to them and be like, get in. You are going,
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
like people will get in and some people will get out, and that's how it goes. But I think the key that I've learned is I take my job really seriously, and you like once is never. You have to say it over and over and over and bake it into how you speak to your team, how you speak to your patients, how you speak about your company, about where you're going. It's like I just don't stop yapping that we're going to kill the Kegels. And
Yeah.
that's just what I say to everyone at all times. And so they know, oh, if I'm with Becky, I'm killing the Kegels. Like we're going, buckle up. And so I think
Mhm.
it's just being your authentic self and not and just being a fountain, letting it just go and not trying to, make yourself small.
Yeah, it's so true. And so I think it's interesting because obviously you and the majority of my listeners and all of my clients, right, they started similarly, whether it was like solopreneur or a small team, and now they're running big companies,
Hmm.
right? And you mentioned kind of going from that like side mom job,
Yeah,
LOL,
I know.
to now where you have 5 clinics. And so I know that it is hard to go from being like in the business, the primary practitioner, to
Hmm.
truly just leading the company. So tell me about your transition and what really helped you to get to that space of being the visionary.
Oh my word. It has been quite the journey, let me tell you. So I am like such a big believer that your business can only be as healthy as the founder is or the leader is, and can only grow as big as the founder is willing to grow herself or himself, I guess. And so this is kind of an unconventional answer, maybe, but I've done so much inner work on myself so that I don't hold us back. And that is the hardest work you will ever do, but the most rewarding in your life, but for your company too. And so I think that's a big one that people overlook is you are the bottleneck. Like you're going to hold your team and your company back. And until you can open yourself up and let yourself dream bigger and be bigger and, kind of float up and out of the weeds of your company, you're going to hold everything back. And so I think that was a huge piece of my own work. And then the other side of the coin was bringing on a business partner. So Corey is my amazing business partner. She was, fun fact, my very first hire at Genesis back in 2020. And
just had her baby.
She did. Just a precious little girl. And, she really built it with me from the ground up from almost day one. And there came a point a few years ago where she had a talk with me and she was like, I'm all in on Genesis. Like, I want to be your partner in this. I want us to take this to the moon. And here's your strengths. Here's my strengths. And here's how they're going to work together. And she really just presented the idea of us as like a partnering unit and how that was going to help us grow. And it took me it wasn't that I was closed off. It took me a little time though to really see it because it forced me to kind of look down and be like, oh, we got to build some systems. Oh, okay, you're going to do that because I don't know how to do that. And, so that was a huge piece of it was having someone in it with me with some skin in the game and who believed in it and was like, I got this. I've got you. I've got the team. Like, here's your job. Here's my job. We're going. And so I think those were the two biggest things that have allowed us to really grow and flourish like we have.
Yeah, and I would agree 100% with everything that you just said because it really is like you have to have the structure and the support, right? Like you have to have the foundational things and the tactical pieces of like, this work needs to go here. And we need to know how to actually operate. But you could have those things. And if you're small minded, if you don't believe in yourself, if you're not utilizing your voice, if you're not doing personal development work, and I think that's to your point, like that's what people avoid, right? Like people seek these strategies, they seek these like, they're hiring people and it's almost like the more is so appealing that it's like, if I hit more revenue, that's the story is like, if I hit more revenue, then these problems that I'm avoiding will actively disappear, but the problems are usually internal.
So then they're magnified because, until you deal with it, it's like your revenue is going to, double, triple, whatever it does. Well, so are your problems, friend. If you haven't gotten to the root of it, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in like internal work, right? If we kind of shift into that conversation about developing what it really takes to be a good leader for your team, one of the things that I love, obviously, is you are in the healthcare side of things, and you and I share the value of health being at the forefront of our lives. And so I would love to hear your opinions, strong opinions. I know that I have them around taking care of yourself, right? Because that's the first thing to go for people when they get busy.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a time period, I want to say it was 2.5, maybe 3 years ago now, where I remember I was getting ill often. I was coming down with random fevers. They would last for days. The normal little colds would feel like the flu, and I just remember it was happening so frequently. And I'm not like a sickly person. And even it would come randomly, like my kids wouldn't have brought anything home and I'm just suddenly have a fever again. And I just remember that period of my life, it probably lasted, I don't know, 6 months or so. And I just realized like, this is not like what is happening? Cause the doctors were like, there's nothing really underlying, nothing super big or bad or scary. And they're just like, eat more vitamin C or whatever they said to me. And I'm just like, do you not think I'm taking vitamin C?
So helpful.
And so I just finally realized, I don't even know how I came to this conclusion, but this was when I was first introduced truly to the idea of what burnout can do to you physically. Like I think I'd heard of burnout, like I think it's a word people can throw around. Oh, I'm so burnout, but like you don't realize that it has physical implications. Not only makes you tired and emotional, but like I had brain fog, I had word finding issues, I had I just felt like I would stall out in meetings, and I was like, something's seriously wrong. But what I came to realize was I was truly experiencing symptoms of like actual burnout. And so it came to a point where I was talking to my husband and I was like, I have to figure this out because I can't not have a brain. Like I can't keep missing
Yeah.
patients and work and meetings because I have fevers. Like I can't not put my kids to bed all these nights because I'm sick and tired. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that did start for me, like my own kind of holistic health journey with, the functional doctors and the just all the things that's outside of your standard like medical system.
Yeah. People who
And it's
listen to you.
been, yeah, it's been, I've been chipping away at it. It's been a journey for sure to climb out of that. But that has been part of the work on myself, which has included tons of mental health therapy. That has been part of the work that has been able to increase my capacity and my joy and my peace again so that I can show up for my team and for my company in the way that I need to and want to, and so that I can be there for my kids as the type of mom I want to be. And so had I not like I think I wouldn't have a company. I would not have a company if I hadn't made that choice to I'm going to like figure it out. I'm going to get out of this. I've got to it is more than just slow down. It's like you have to actually change things about your beliefs and your habits and all of those things, and that takes time and it takes help from people. And but that was had I not done that and putting in the time and just been patient, I think I wouldn't have a company today.
Yeah. That's like, it's such good perspective, honestly. And I appreciate you sharing because I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that
Hmm.
reality. Because I think sometimes we tell ourselves that it's like, well, once we get to this point, then I
Hmm.
can.
Hmm.
And I think that's the lie that keeps us stuck and like heading down this really dangerous path. And I think
Hmm.
sometimes we normalize or even minimize like what we are experiencing as business owners, especially as moms, right? Because our mental load is so heavy. And you see it all the time where it's like entrepreneurship's a 24/7 job. And I'm like, okay, but like why? Why are we not asking questions about that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why are we allowing
Hmm.
that? Why are we saying since I'm an entrepreneur, I know how I no longer have boundaries? I
Hmm.
think, and that's, my own disruption in the
Yeah.
industry. But honestly, I just think that that point of recognition to where most people can't draw the line
Mm-hmm.
to their health being associated with the growth or health of their business. And I think you just explained it really well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting going back to when I started Genesis, it was my part-time mom job. And it's like, when did I just wake up? These were thoughts I had. I'm like, when did I just wake up? And now I'm working nonstop. We haven't even talked about the financial side of things of just when my company was bleeding money. Where do y'all think that's coming from my bank account, my personal
Mm.
savings to keep it afloat. And it's just like, when did it get that way and why? And I still don't really know the answer to that in my own personal business. I'm like, I know I'm a high achiever. I know I like to win. And so I probably just, ignored myself for a few years while I built the thing. But it's funny now, I still work a lot. I'm a busy girly. Run a big company, but I picked my kid up from baseball camp 30 minutes ago, like
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that where I block off my calendar. I have blocks on my calendar where I'm like, I'm picking up the kids. Like don't put a meeting here. I'm not available. And I didn't used to do that because the story I
Mhm.
told myself was, well, no one else can do what I do, or I have to be so helpful and available all the time. And it made it to where I was never helpful and I could never truly be available.
Wow. I mean, yeah. all of that, because it is literally the opposite of what we think, right? To where it's like, I'm being so helpful by being always on, but because you're always on, like you're reactive, you're short with your family, with your team.
Ugh.
It's like, that's what I always try to make people see. And I know even in our time together, to where it was like, going through your calendar and let's put things together and let's shave this stuff off. And it's like, that's
Yep.
scary. So
Yeah.
you're like, ooh.
Yeah. I
What if-
still have those blocks on my calendar, girl. You know I do.
It's
So
important. It's important. So if you had to, you've had like this beautiful journey, you've had immense growth, you've grown something that's truly impactful in the world. You have 5 clinics. You've had a lot, like you've been in the trenches. You've experienced having to cover payroll with personal savings. Like you've gone through all of that. And so now sitting where you're sitting now, looking back to somebody that's on your journey, right? To who is scaling and who is working towards something bigger. What would you have done different?
Such a great question. And I'm picturing like Becky 2021. Like that's when you said of someone on this journey a few years back. I'm picturing myself. What would I say to her, 4 or 5 years ago, Becky? I think my advice, and hindsight's 2020, but I think my advice to her would be accept more help. And like because I remember I had my team being like, what else can we do? What can we take off your plate? And I'm like, nothing. I got it all. Y'all just live your best lives, And
Let me pay you.
like, literally. And I think I would just say, like, you're not failing by putting things off of your plate and letting people help you. They wanted to build this vision with me. And a lot of them are still here to this day, which is so special. But yeah, I just wish I would have let them in sooner. And I wish I would have been more open to, if we're going to grow this fast, that's okay. And you can't do it all yourself. Like you're going to need these systems and these processes. And I think I just kind of dug my heels in for a bit because I am a grit girly. Like I can do anything. Like I will do anything I set my mind to. And I did for so long, but I wish I would have just known it would be so much better if I would just let people in and let them build it with me sooner.
What do you think now, knowing what you know, because that is a struggle for everybody listening? Like, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have the struggle of trusting people with something that you have given your heart and soul to. What has helped you to learn to let go and to build that trust with people?
I would say starting small, like what's like one small thing that you can have someone else own. And I'm really big on being like, if you're going to get it off your plate, get it off your plate. Let them own it rather than you micromanage it, right? So pick one small thing, give it to someone, they own that thing, show them what success looks like, all of that fun stuff, and then watch them, and like likely they're going to succeed. And if they fail, that's okay. You can coach them up. But I think what I've experienced is reps have helped, right? And so just reps of like, hey, I have an EA now. And that was hard for me because I'm like, what? Someone's doing my emails and my calendar and my schedules and all the things. And it's like, I wanted to micromanage my EA so badly, but I was like, no, I'm going to allow space for failure, right? Because that's when people learn. And it turns out it's been great. And so I think it's just get reps in and have grace for yourself when you're going to want to micromanage, and grace for the person who took it over, because no one's perfect and they are going to mess up and all that stuff. But reps will help. And then you'll be able to give bigger and bigger and bigger things away. And like today, Corey runs the operations. Like, don't ask me about any process. Like, don't ask me about the process of how Genesis runs, basically. Like, I can tell you where we're going. But
Yeah.
it's kind of grown into that.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, because it really is. It's so hard. And something I heard you say that I think is what I have found is that typically it's our boundaries with ourselves that usually like we are the problem. It's not that we don't necessarily have capable people.
Mhm.
It's either we're not giving them clear enough direction, we're not holding them accountable to their performance, we're
Mhm.
not telling them what success looks like, and then we're handing things off, or we're wanting to hand things off, but we're not truly handing things off. And
Mhm.
so I know there's like so many things that I've implemented with clients to where it is like once you delegate something, you're literally, the rule is you cannot take it back.
Right.
So you can coach, you can create looms, you can
Sure.
write books, whatever you need to do, but you cannot take that thing back.
Yeah.
You may not.
Yeah.
And so
I
it's
love
like
that.
drawing that hard line with yourself,
Mhm.
because it's us, right? It's
Yeah.
us that's the problem. And then it's like we're spinning and we're spinning, and it's like, okay, but if you draw these hard lines of, I'm not going to take meetings before this time, I
Mhm.
won't do meetings on these days, my schedule needs to look like this, like it really is, nothing is wrong with that. What
Mhm.
is wrong is our interpretation or our perception or our assumption about what may happen when we do that. And
Yeah.
so then we either don't or we start. And then because it feels uncertain, because that's what our brains do, right? Like they're
Totally.
supposed to protect us.
Yeah.
And so protection equals certainty. Certainty is what we know. And so when we're stepping into that unknown of somebody else
Mhm.
helping us, it's like this feels unsafe. And so we don't
Mhm.
fully let ourselves. And that's where I think accountability makes a big difference,
Mhm.
of like whether that's team member, mentor, whoever it is, of
Yeah.
like, we're going to do this thing. We actually have to do it, because
Mhm.
it is scary when you're taking those first steps.
Oh my goodness. It's scary. And one thing for me in particular that's been really hard that I've learned about myself is I I have a weakness of holding people accountable. I'll hold myself accountable all day, but I am not great at holding my team accountable. And I've gotten better, and we put systems and all the things that have made it really where I don't have to manage people anymore because it's not my strong
Mm-hmm.
suit. But that was a big problem. Like it wasn't that I let bad stuff happen, but I didn't hold them accountable to greatness, which is unfortunate because my vision is of greatness, you know? So we learned that over the past couple years of like, we have an accountability problem. And it's not because people just want to do bad work, but it's like we're okay with kind of being just okay, and being a little bit late, or we barely missed that goal, or and it's like, no, we set the freaking goal. We got to hit it. But I struggle holding people accountable to it, which is just interesting.
Mm.
It's been an interesting struggle.
Do you ever, I mentioned this on a podcast that I recorded a couple of weeks ago that was actually about holding your team accountable.
Mm.
And what I've heard like from a lot of clients is that like, and I've done this to myself, is I would like gaslight myself like into like, you're the problem because your standards are just too high. And so your expectations are not,
Mhm.
like, people can't meet them. And so then I would just like, it's almost like a lowering of expectations, when what we're
Mhm.
supposed to do is we're actually supposed to hold that
Yep.
standard so they rise to it.
Yep.
And I see that happen a lot. Did you experience that?
Very much so. Very much so. In this, I'm trying to find a good way to say this because I don't want this to come across as icky or like holier than thou. But I have always been someone who achieves great things. Like,
Just say it. You're
but
amazing.
you
It's
know what I
fine.
mean? I know. I'm like, Coach
You're
Kelsey,
like, I basically win everything I touch,
I
and that's just
do.
what it
I
is.
do. I'm
Great.
a
That's
winner.
why we love you.
I know. I know. And it's just so I think my version of what you just explained was like, I just do really good things, but maybe, and this sounds so icky. I love my team. I don't mean this way, but it's like maybe I just am like a high achiever person, and maybe normal people don't do this. I don't know. And it's what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you're saying. And I think it's seems totally logical and valid in
Mhm.
our minds, right? Of like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm the business owner. I'm the ambitious one. I'm
Mhm.
the one that like has the can white knuckle through anything. It's not realistic for me to expect them to care that much. And I
Mhm.
think part of that is true. And to me, it's like a both and situation, to where
Yeah,
it's like they're never going to be you, and how awful of us as owners and employers to not give them an opportunity to
totally.
rise into that potential.
Totally. Yeah, and I heard that from them, and with love, they were like, "How do we know what winning looks like if you haven't given us the metric?" And I'm like, "I
Yeah.
don't know. I just it's in my head." But so I would hear stuff like that, like they wanted to do it. And that was part of, the building of it throughout all the past years, basically, was like, how can we actually build a company rather than just Becky being the energy and the drive for the rest of time as our team grows to 5 to 10 to 20 to 25, it's like, it's just impossible. So,
Mm. Okay, so here's a question that I like to ask a lot of my guests. What does success mean to you?
Success to me, okay, I'm going to paint the picture I see. It is a peaceful home. So it is a home where I am present, because there's been times where I wasn't, I'm like, my nervous system is so out of its window of tolerance. And I'm just like, I'm here, but I'm not here. And it's like, so success to me is I am able to be present and peaceful and have joy with my kids and with my family, because my company, has the structure and has the people in the right seats that they're fulfilled in their jobs. And because of that, the company is fulfilled in our needs and in our growth. And then that is able to, help fulfill me in my life. But I think the litmus test of it is, how do I feel in my home? Which is interesting. But that's it. It's like, I want to feel peace and joy in my home, and that comes from how my company runs and how it impacts me, what I believe about it, all of those things. But that's kind of the end result of being successful.
Hmm. So interesting. How has your version or your definition of success changed over the years?
Man, I mean, I think it's in a different universe, probably, because you hear all the objective things. It's like, well, it's successful when we hit 3 million. It's successful when we hit 10 million. Okay, we're going to be 100 million, and it's like, none of that matters. I can make $100 million next year, but if I never home, or when I am home, I am like wanting to crawl out of my skin, like that is unsuccessful, like to me. And so I think I used to think, oh, I'm a business owner now, like let's go for the revenue. And like, yeah, you have to have goals and metrics and things. And you are a human being, and how you get there matters, and how that impacts your family matters. So,
Yeah, it's both and I think that's what I always say too. It's not about negating financial
mm-mm,
stability and financial freedom. It's
mm-mm.
about financial freedom actually providing freedom and flexibility, not
Yeah.
being the core metric.
Yeah, because you can make $100,000 in a year and have all the freedom and all the peace, or you can make $100,000 in a year and be chained to your business and getting sick every day and, a shell of yourself. Like the number is the same, so it's not the number that does it. It's how you get there and how you treat your own self, and the boundaries you set and all of that stuff.
What does a business need to have in order to provide that version of success?
I'll speak for my business. It need I have needed Corey to kind of be a blocker for me, to basically swap my hand away and not let me come back into the weeds, because she knows my goals. She knows I'm a mom. She knows what I want my life to look like. And that's the beauty of like being a business partner, is like we know each other's life goals, and we are building the business together so that we reach our life goals. And so she like blocks me basically from getting sucked back in. And I just can never speak enough to having kind of that right hand partnership, however it's structured, whatever that looks like. But having that person that she holds me accountable. That's what she does. She's like, Becky, you said you don't want to be burnt out, yet I see you doing this and this. She's like, get out. And so
sounds like a familiar conversation.
Yes. So in my business, and I think truly any business that's going to grow a team and really grow and not just be kind of the founder doing it all, that you need the team and the partner, whether it's a business partner or not, but you need that person that's going to hold you accountable to what you said you wanted.
I think a lot of people, because they're the owners, they think that they don't need accountability. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that, like, for the same reasons we were just talking about with like change and uncertainty, like that is
Mm-hmm.
literally the one thing that you need.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that you need. Why is the fitness industry a giant industry? Right? Because people need accountability. People
Yeah.
need people to tell them what to do because
Mm-hmm.
they know they're not going to do it
Mm-hmm.
themselves. It's
Truly.
behavioral change.
Truly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's like the overlooked thing where it's almost our egos, where it's like, no, I don't
I
need
don't need
that
that.
actually. But I
I'm
love that.
fine.
I love the hand swatting. I'm just like picturing Corey actually
Yes.
swatting my hand away.
All like 5 feet nothing of her, and I'm 6 feet
Yeah.
tall, so it's so funny. Like when we take photos together, I'm like, oh, Corey, baby Corey, and she's just like swatting my hand away all the time, but in the best way.
Yeah, it's so good that you guys have that.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I think what you guys are doing is so incredible. So let's talk about what you do and what you do for women and how people can work with you and how they can find you. Give us all the juicy details.
All the juicy details. So if you are a mom or a female with pelvic floor issues, and you're someone that's like, she said she's a pelvic floor PT and she doesn't do Kegels, and that's great because I've tried Kegels and they're not helping, let me tell you, then my hope that I really want you to do is just come check out our website, come check out our Instagram. You can find us at genesisptwellness.com or Instagram at genesisptwellness. We put so much stuff out there of what you can be doing to help restore your pelvic floor function without Kegels, because they're not going to work. And if you are someone that's like, yeah, but I just want the one-on-one, just tell me what to do, help me, then, well, like I said, we see people virtually all over the world all the time. And so we're happy to do that. If you happen to be a healthcare provider or even a PT or an OT or whoever, I also have my Dr. Becky Pelvic PT Instagram, where I do a lot of education there for movement professionals and just kind of education on just zooming out of the pelvis and finding the root cause there. So even if you don't necessarily treat pelvic floor conditions, if you're just someone who is a movement professional with people, I think that you'd enjoy a lot of my content over there. But those are kind of my two buckets. I got the patients with the problems, and I got the people who want to learn my brain, how I'm doing what I'm doing. And so you can kind of find me on either of those.
Yeah, and you do a really good job about like educating things, but also making things feel understandable. And plus, like your personality shines through everything, which is always fun to watch.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you feel like it's important to share, knowing that there are a bunch of moms running businesses listening to this right now?
My biggest thing that I want to just give you permission to do, or urge you to do, whichever energy you need, take what you need. I'm giving you permission and I'm urging you, is to just take a hot second and do something for yourself. Because moms who run businesses, moms in general, but especially if you run a business and you're a mom, like you are doing all the things. Your nervous system is going, it's going, your body is going, your brain is going. And the pelvic floor, it responds to that. And it's okay. It can do it. But it's really, really important to just learn some of these things and take that time for yourself to learn how to breathe with your diaphragm muscle. We teach that all the time. And, to learn just what can you be doing to optimize your hormone health and your pelvic health and all this stuff as you go through this and continue building. And that's what we love to teach, is just how to optimize your pelvic health so that you can continue to show up and not have to think about, well, where's the bathroom? I have to go to the bathroom every hour, And so it's just little things like that can get in your way as a mom or a mom founder that we can help you with.
Yeah, so good. Well, thank you for spending your day with me today. Yeah. I'm so glad to see you, and just send me vibes for my house sale.
Yes. Oh my word. Well, let me know when you're coming.
I will. All of our million children will be in the backyard of my pool so soon. I can envision it.
I love it. I love it.
But thank you so much for all of your knowledge. You are truly amazing. It's so incredible to see what you are doing for just the healthcare industry, and just keep using your voice and doing what you're doing because we need it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I always love chatting.
All right, lady, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.